welcome. It's indisputable. I'm your host, Rashad Richie. Good to be with you. We have a lot on the agenda today, breaking down news of the day. My contributor, none other than Mr. Jackson White. Always fascinating to have his analysis. Top story of the day, Donald Trump decides to post a racist post about, well, President Obama and Michelle Obama. Put it up, full mass. Here we go. Trump posted an AI video of Barack and Michelle Obama as apes in a jungle with the song "The Lion Sleeps Tonight" in the background. And now remember, this is during Black History Month. The Obamas briefly and suddenly appear near the end of the short video, which promotes false claims that voting machines help steal the 2020 election, with their faces superimposed onto the bodies of apes. As the images appear for about 1 second, the start of the song, "The Lion Sleeps Tonight," plays in the background. The longer version of the video, first published online in October by the same X account with this watermark. The video Trump shared cast the president as a lion while portraying prominent Democrats and liberals as animal characters from Disney's The Lion King. The longer video also depicts Hillary Clinton as a warthog and the New York mayor, Mondani, as a hyena. The White House does have a response, but I don't want this to get lost in the back and forth. Obviously, it's racist. Obviously, it's bigoted, okay? There's another point in this that goes to what just happened in Fulton County. Once again, they are starting the rhetoric of a stolen election again. They're starting the rhetoric. So this was the genesis of the post about stolen elections from 2020. They just raided the Fulton County voting hub and illegally took voter information that was currently under court review via a motion from the Department of Justice. And instead of waiting for their court review to give them clearance or no clearance in order to do this insanity, they decided to file a criminal warrant against Fulton County and utilize that as their auspices to then steal voter information with the DNI appointee in charge. All right. So the White House has a response. In a response, if you call it that, for a comment from Variety, the White House press secretary, Carolyn Levitt, said in an email statement, quote, "This is from an internet meme video depicting President Trump as the king of the jungle and Democrats as characters from The Lion King. Please stop the fake outrage and report on something today that actually matters to the American public." Levitt also shared the full video, which depicted Hillary Clinton as a boar and House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries as a meerkat, but those who were noticeably absent from the clip Trump shared. The video still up. The backlash of Tim Scott. Damn Tim. Tim Scott, the only black Republican in the House, tweeted, quote, "Praying it was fake because it's the most racist thing I've seen out of this White House. The president should remove it." Tim, sit your ass down. Sir, this man gutted your own program for minorities who own businesses, sir. This is the most racist thing you have seen. Put it back up again. This is the first time Tim has said something since the extreme racism of Trump. And he goes on record and says, praying it was fake. Praying? Sir, You're a United States senator. How about you call somebody? How about you demand something? How about you act as if you are an elected representative? The preacher can pray, but you were elected to do. Ben Rhodes, former speechwriter for Obama, wrote, "Let it haunt Trump and his racist followers that future Americans will embrace the Obamas as beloved figures while studying him as a stain on our history." End quote. Gavin Newsom weighed in on the matter. Disgusting behavior by the president. Every single Republican must denounce this now. CNN White House correspondent Ms. Treen reported, just broke the news that the posts had been taken down. Treen quoted a senior Trump administrator as saying, quote, "A White House staffer erroneously made the post. It has been taken down." The post was up for 12 hours, Ms. Treen noted. Politico's West Wing playbook scribe, Sophia Kai, had additional reporting from my own White House source saying, quote, "President Trump did not see the video, legitimately didn't. A staffer posted it." Sophia added that, quote, "Only a small handful of staffers have access to Trump's Truth Social account." So the spin is, well, Trump didn't do it. He didn't know about it. He didn't approve it. He was unaware, even though it's him and his name, his administration. He's responsible. He's in charge. He's the person calling the shots. You have a couple of issues here. One, if this is happening and he's completely unaware, he's completely incompetent, which obviously is true on many levels anyway. Two, the reason why this is even happening is because Trump approves of racism. If Trump did not approve of racism, you would not have the prerequisite context for anyone to believe that this would be okay. And third, if Trump was not protective of racism, no one would believe it came from him in the first place. They would have assumed that a staffer did it, period. But none of those assumptions carry. All right, Jackson, thoughts here.
Yeah, my main commentary for this is, in response to Caroline Levitt basically saying that Americans don't care about this and the media is tripping. That can get kicked down the road endlessly because, as you pointed out, the main premise of this video, like, okay, let's take the ape stuff out. The whole premise of the video was that Donald Trump won the 2020 election, which he did not do. You also pointed out that he raided the Fulton County elections. And at this point, he basically on a daily basis announces that he's going to interfere with the midterm elections, whether it be him just suggesting like we shouldn't have them because he's doing so well. He suggested we should nationalize the elections, which is ridiculous. And Caroline Levitt also just said that she can't guarantee that there won't be ICE agents at the polls. So if we make a fuss about that, we tripping. If we make a fuss about the fact that Donald Trump has completely gone back on his economic promises, and that we entered January with the most job cuts since 2009. Millions of people lost their jobs last year. Hiring is at a standstill. Inflation is still up. All of these things, we're not supposed to make a gripe about that. Turn the other cheek. What about his imperialism? What about the fact that he's littered all over the Epstein files? This man is mentioned in the Epstein files more times than Jesus is mentioned in the Bible. And we spoke, all that's fake. All that's fake, but Bill Clinton, that's not fake. All the Democrats, all of that stuff is real. So, this can just gets kicked down the road endlessly. And as you pointed out as well, Donald Trump and his administration have carried out a variety of racist policies. And most of what they've done is via executive action because it's illegal. So we shouldn't care about that either. It's just, this is the most cartoonishly corrupt, like, comic book strip evil administration that you could think of. Donald Trump has $300 million in a slush fund account in Qatar, who gave him a $400 million private jet. The United Arab Emirates gave $500 million to his crypto firm. And then a few days later, they got access to American-made chips that Joe Biden blocked them from having. Like like, what do you even say to this? What do you even
Yeah.
say? So,
Yeah. And he's about to get a bag from the U.S. government because he just sued the IRS and the Treasury Department for $10 billion. And the
right,
people in
right,
charge of giving it to him are his cronies.
right.
Yeah. All right. We'll keep you updated. Okay. Um, Hell of a thing. Another example of our mental health response system completely failing those that require it. I'm going to take you to New York. A man in crisis shot by NYPD after the family called for a medical emergency. A medical emergency. Here's the video.
Come in? Yeah. Oh my gosh. No, you're fine. You're fine. Yes.
Baba, no!
Hey, put the knife down! Put the knife down! Put the knife down! Put the knife down! Put the knife. Move! Put the knife down! Put the knife down! Put the knife down! Put the knife down! Drop the knife! Drop the knife! Drop the knife! Shots fired! Shots fired!
Put up the picture for a mask. A 22-year-old experiencing a mental health crisis was shot 4 times by NYPD officers in Queens. His family says they requested a medical transport. They did not request the police. The 22-year-old named Jabrez suffers from schizophrenia. Officer Tyree White and his partner entered the home on Parsons Boulevard in Briarwood on January 26th. After his family complained that the 22-year-old had hurled a glass inside the house around 10:30 a.m. The family specifically asked the 911 dispatcher for an EMS response. Quote, they said that he was not a threat. He just needs to go to the hospital, she said. But an NYPD spokesperson said the 911 caller requested an involuntary removal, which triggers both EMS and police response. The FDNY said EMS did respond to a mental health emergency. Let's just pause for a moment. If you're responding to a mental health emergency, there should be a level of sensitivity dealing with somebody who may have a knife. For example, if a person has a knife, let's say they're your family member, and you may feel as if your life is in danger, just walk out. Leave them there. Talk to them through the door. Talk to them through the room. Talk to them on the telephone if you feel that your life is in danger. You don't have to stay inside the house and kill them. What kind of answer is that to somebody who is suffering from a medical condition? What kind of response? What kind of remedy is that? If that is the policy, when a parent calls 911 on their child because they know their child needs a mental health intervention, they now have to be prepared for their child to be dead and for everybody's lives to be changed forever. And all they wanted was a proper mental health response. This is what the system is giving you. Your tax dollars should go into more comprehensive remedy than what we seek. But because the emphasis is not on reform of the mental health system, and the emphasis is not on police reform, then the emphasis becomes either they comply or we kill them like we would any common criminal that we don't give a damn about in the first place. What is the reason for a mental health call if the cops get to treat the person as if they just robbed a 7-Eleven and going to kill or hurt somebody else? What's the reason? Simmering thinned with Desis Rising Up the Moving, a South Asian immigrant advocacy group, said that Jabez remains on a ventilator and has undergone multiple surgeries after being shot 4 times. The family also accused officers of seizing their phones and asking immigration-related questions after the shooting. Then said officers asked what country the family was from, when they last visited, and whether their daughter was born in the United States. What kind of questions are those after you just shot their child? There's no reason for that, is the quote. Then said, quote, that is something that is so irrelevant to what has happened, end quote. The NYPD disputed that account. A spokesperson said there was no evidence officers asked immigration-related questions and that phones were seized later at the district attorney's request. Now, the Queens District Attorney's Office is seeking to pursue criminal charges against the person the cops shot, the man with schizophrenia. However, the family is protesting these charges, saying they had requested EMS to assist in a medical emergency. They claimed the officers only escalated the situation. We have an update. So the mayor, Mandani, reportedly visited the man in the hospital on Wednesday and is now urging the DA not to put forth any charges against him. Quote, in viewing this footage, it is clear to me what Jabez needs is mental health treatment, not criminal prosecution from a district attorney. And we're talking about a family that is enduring the kind of pain that no family should, and an individual that has lived with schizophrenia for years, Mandami said. A person experiencing a mental health episode does not always have to be served first or exclusively by a police officer. It is important for us to have options available, the mayor continued. I want to give a significant emphasis, focus on the response of the sitting mayor of New York. He walked outside of the normative lines of communication. He broke all protocol politically. He visited the person who was shot directly, watched the video footage himself, came to a personal conclusion, and instead of saying the line that they always say, well, it's under investigation, we can't speak about it until the investigation is finalized, instead of calling the DA secretly and not telling us what their conversation was, he called it publicly and publicly said that these charges should not be pursued. Now, obviously, he has a lot of influence and power with the DA's office, but he doesn't control it. But he does have power and influence directly over the police department. All right, Jackson, thoughts here.
This doesn't just reflect issues with the law enforcement system. As we talk about often, we need more social workers to be able to respond to mental health crises. But it also reflects our crumbling healthcare system. If we had more clinics, if we had more empathy for people who suffer from mental health problems, or just, you can often find yourself in mental spirals because of your, financial circumstances, different types of traumas that you go through. If insurance was more affordable, keep in mind it just doubled and tripled for most people who have private health insurance who pay for it out of pocket in this country, then police wouldn't need to be called nearly as much for these types of instances. And to me, one of the scariest things about stuff like this makes me think about ICE, because ICE is filled with agents who didn't qualify to be police officers. And look at what we deal with police officers. And now we got ICE agents running around, literally murdering American citizens in the street who are just demonstrating their First Amendment rights to protest or their Second Amendment rights to carry weapons. Alex Preddy and Renee Good, which has caused national outrage. And so, all around, through and through, our law enforcement system is just failing. And I don't know the exact answer to fix it, but locally, as we talk about often, is really the only way. We have to do this from the ground out.
That's right. Well said. We'll bring updates as updates develop. Speaking about ICE detained a teenager who's deaf for not listening to orders, violently detained this teenager. It's a hell of a story. Here it is.
Get back! Get back! Stay back right there. Do not move. Do not move. Stay right there. Stay right there. Do not move. Get him up. Guys, it's hard of hearing. It's hard of hearing. You cannot hear. He's stabbed. He's stabbed. He's stabbed. Out of the way. Out of the way. Out of the way. Remember, he's stabbed.
He's deaf. He's deaf. He's deaf. You guys, he's deaf. He's deaf. He's deaf. Please don't brutalize him.
Put up his picture. And he's a child. This is an 18-year-old high schooler. His name is Anthony. During a press conference, Anthony described what he experienced. The organizers at the press conference stated, as educators, we called this event together. We're in support of Anthony, a high school student who was brutalized by agents. We're here to support Anthony and demand justice. Groches said, as teachers, we have a responsibility to not only teach our children in the classroom, but to defend our kids on the street as well. Organizers and LA school district educators said they plan to file a claim and a lawsuit against the government and will fight to have his case dropped. They also call for more support and accessibility from the community. Okay. This is our tax dollar. Our tax dollars being used to engage in domestic oppression of human beings right here. I am thankful for the educators who are standing up for this young man. I am heartbroken this happened to him. But it's not just happening to him. It's happening to anyone they choose it to happen to. And you don't necessarily have to be black or brown. Hell, you don't have to be an adult for them to target you, to brutalize you. All right. Jackson, thoughts on this?
I think this is a great opportunity to call out the Democratic establishment. And I say that because we got to abolish ICE. You know, we don't need any conversations about reform. We don't need no conversations about, well, maybe we should end, the roving patrols and increase the needs for warrants and stuff like that. The ICE agents still got their masks on, by the way. The Chuck Schumer branch needs to go. He needs to go, and everybody with his stances needs to go. The other day he was talking about how we're not going to let up our support for Israel. These people got to go. ICE was established in the early 2000s. We were doing just fine before then. And at the end of the day, their goal is mass deportations, and they're failing at it. First and foremost, that's not really what billionaires and corporations want, because they want to pay people less. If we employed Americans to do these jobs that they don't want to do, that would raise prices because you would have to pay them more. So a lot of people would be upset about that. So kicking 11 plus million people out of the country, they're not doing it. They're even below what Barack Obama did and what Joe Biden did. Joe Biden kicked like 4 million people out of the country before he got out of office in 1 year. So it's not as if the Democrats aren't always rounding up people as well. Keep in mind, Barack Obama was nicknamed the deporter in chief. So So all in all, this is just a complete waste of tax dollars because their mission to kick all the undocumented immigrants out is not being accomplished because they're so incompetent. And the people who fill ICE, again, police academy rejects, people who was in their basement, Proud Boys, and also I read that the agents aren't getting their $50,000 bonuses. So they got scammed on top of that. So the Democrats really need to get behind abolishing ICE. If you ain't talking about abolishing ICE, you got to go.
I agree with you. I'm ready to take it a step further. ICE, which is under the control of DHS, these are new agencies, obviously. Department of Homeland Security wasn't created until 2002. So you're not talking about legacy organizations that have been around for a very long time inside of the federal government. At this point, because of the lack of oversight that DHS gives to ICE, DHS needs to be on that chopping block as well. And that is a conversation that I think, one, should be had, but Democrats continue to talk about reform of ICE. You can't talk about reform of ICE if you're not talking about the elimination of DHS or the reform of DHS as well. All right, we'll bring you up next. We got more on the other side. It's indisputable, stick and stay.
Hey, Andrew, what's up?
Hey, Cenk, you ready to make the switch?
Yeah, I guess.
I promise it's easy, universal, basic, and you get income.
Yeah, you keep saying that. But you sure I'm gonna have coverage?
Of course you will. You think I would have bad service? I'm Andrew Yang. Of course I have good service.
All right, let's try it. But I'm so bad at tech. So, wait. Should I do this thing of the hashtag business? Andrew, you're still on, right?
Yep.
Oh, I see it. No, wait, I don't see. Oh, yeah, I do see it. Here we go.
I actually did not realize that you'd be searching in real time, but I love it.
How much do people actually normally say?
Yeah, the average American is going to save between $500 and $1,000 a year on Noble.
Yeah, no. You know what I'm going to do, Andrew? Are you ready to become a Noble member? The 2 buttons are do it and go back. There's no going back. We're doing it.
We're doing it.
Here we go, Noble Mobile.
Oh my gosh, I just called you and are you now on Noble and not Verizon?
Why didn't you tell me it was going to be super easy?
I know, man. Now you just stay away from your phone and watch the money roll in.
I can do that. Here you go, phone, yeah.
What the f?
Cenk, you still there?
Andrew? Oh, well, at least I got Noble Mobile.
It was really just one take. The whole thing is wild.
It's in my shoes. It's in my shoes.
Hi, I'm Brett Ehrlich with Breaking News with Brett Ehrlich. This is Breaking News with Brett Ehrlich. Hi, Brett Ehrlich here. According to EPA head Scott Pruitt, climate change is not happening. He cited a meme on Facebook he saw. When pressed to back up this source, he said it must be accurate because the watermark said it was made by a scientist. So, your move, Truth.
At TYT, our mission is to boldly pursue truth, challenge the establishment, and drive positive change. At a time when corporate capture of our media, our government, and our politics is nearly absolute, everyday working people need a champion to fight for them and to push back against the powerful interests that threaten our democracy itself. At TYT, we're proudly progressive and call out corruption and duplicity wherever we see it, from Republicans, Democrats, or anyone else. And unlike mainstream news media outlets, we're not beholden to corporate advertisers, to defense contractors, to Wall Street, or to Big Pharma. We only have to answer to our audience, and for nearly 2 decades, we've accomplished that by delivering honest, timely, and insightful perspectives on the day's news without fear or favor or concern for whose toes we might step on or which powerful elites we might offend. And while we're super serious about the news, we also manage to do it in a way that is fun and lighthearted. We can do this together and serve our audience, and yes, have fun doing it.
You are the media revolution. You are much needed.
TYT, TYT.
The place is like 95% TYT on.
You guys, the Young Turks, which is my favorite
channel, we're getting that message out.
Frank and the Young Turks do an extraordinarily good job.
No matter what mainstream media says, you have to listen to the Young Turks.
The people who support us on the internet, that's what gives us strength. That's what allows anyone who was in there who was undecided to think one side seems to be winning. They seem to have a bigger army. There might be a reason for that. So thank you, guys.
All right. Welcome back. We have a lot of comments. I will read as many as I can. I appreciate everyone for joining. Disruptopus, what would you expect from the baboon in chief? X-Dog, the security dragon, the officer grabbed his gun first before even reaching for a taser. That's right. They have multiple non-lethal devices at their disposal. DB Hawk 3, thank you for that. President Trump, he really needs to resign pronto. Yeah. Trump. And $2 too, thank you for that. Didn't Tim Scott tell us that the U.S. wasn't racist? That's right.
Yes, he did.
That's right. He said there's no such thing. What are we talking about here?
Right.
DB Hawk 3, thank you for that again. We really need to all of Americans to wake up mentally. But this administration has gone into a dangerous state of life, if not sooner and quicker. Yeah. I think this is Dan Shizia, Doc Ritchie, and Snackson. We are lucky today.
Oh yeah, we having a good show. We having a good one.
Mississippi 69 says this is a hate crime and needs to be prosecuted. There you go. And Ruby, I think Lancelin, 3639. Anything to deflect from Epstein? Yeah. Sister Strength says, I went through this with my son. Police are not trained to deal with mental health. That's right. They're not, intentionally so. And Sister Strength says the police beat on my son after I told him that he had a disability. It's so sad, isn't it? It's insane. And then police are not held accountable for the extreme brutality that they are allowed to do under the color of law. All right, I got something for you. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish Karen would.
You want to call the police on them for having a barbecue on a Sunday.
I feel free! Back off!
I'm going to tell them there's an African-American man threatening my life.
Don't touch me!
That's not yours!
Hey,
That's not yours, see?
I can't believe you. You hit me?
Why are you hitting me?
Because you hit me first.
You hit me first.
And we got cameras here.
Why are you hitting me?
Call the police.
Why are you hitting me? Why are you hitting me, bitch? Bitch, ass. Oh, ass.
Well, luckily we have the video. Put it up full mass. So a Karen slaps an older black male and did not expect this individual to defend himself. Now, we don't condone violence at Indisputable. We only condone and expect people to defend themselves. Recently posted on Instagram by the account Dallas Headline, the video's caption said it sparked debate online about self-defense and gender dynamics, but many commenters disagreed. That caption is wrong. The video shows a man defending himself after being assaulted by a woman. She then tries to play victim, according to the narrative, despite the camera suggesting otherwise. Read a top comment. Comment with more than 3,000 likes as, quote, as the man tries to get away from her and asks for 911 to be contacted, she follows and continues to assault while spewing racist remarks, end quote. Another wrote, quote, I'm glad this was on camera, so she can't claim he started it. It's unclear if there was a verbal argument before the scuffle or what exactly incensed the woman and prompted her to approach him so aggressively in the first place. At least in this case, social media sided with the man thanks to the video evidence. And at least one commenter offered the woman sage life advice. Don't put your hands on people, is what the commenter said. Hopefully there's a lesson learned here. All right. Jackson, thoughts?
Yeah, hopefully a lesson learned for sure. You know, like you said, we don't condone violence, but she definitely shouldn't have been hitting him either. You know, it's probably wasn't that serious. At the end of the day, as an adult, it's okay to be angry, but putting your hands on people is not acceptable. And you never know what somebody's going to do, especially in a country where every other person has a gun in their pocket. Particularly in red states where you can just walk around with them. So you got to be careful. You can't just be putting your hands on people out here.
There you go. Word to the wise. All right. A white male gets so upset about a coach's decision. He pulls a gun out on him, mad because his son's playing time wasn't adequate for him. Let's go to the video.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Go! Jesus.
Put up the picture full mass. This is called a crazed sports parent, okay? Turned a youth basketball game into a complete nightmare for one Kentucky elementary school on the 31st of January. There was panic at Walton Verona Elementary when 28-year-old and dad, Stephen Hamblin, decided to brandish his gun after arguing with the basketball coach that his son did not get enough playing time. According to an incident report obtained by the local news station Fox 19 Now, the altercation began when Hamblin approached the coach to complain about his son's limited court time. Spectators say the two men were separated after the argument turned physical, but Hamblin soon returned with a handgun, and waved it around as he darted back and forth in the parking lot filled with young children and their parents. He reportedly pointed the gun at 7 people. Witnesses told police that Hamblin repeatedly threatened the group, saying he was, quote, going to shoot while brandishing his weapon, although no shots were fired reportedly. After fleeing the scene, authorities caught up with him at his home in Kenton County, Kentucky, where he was then arrested. Hamblin told police he was acting in self-defense after his family was allegedly threatened by 2 people in the crowd. He now faces multiple charges, including wanton endangerment in the first degree, tampering with physical evidence, unlawful possession of a firearm on school property, and endangering the welfare of a minor. He remains in custody at the Boone County Jail. The superintendent released a statement, but let's understand how serious this incident was. You have parents and children at a school basketball game on school property. Most of them may not be aware of any argument that has happened. Some of them are. All of a sudden, you see a man acting in this manner, running back and forth with a gun pointed in your direction and your child's direction. Okay? All of the historical news reports of school shootings, maybe personal trauma, all of this stuff comes to the forefront of your subconscious thinking, into your conscious mind. It's panic. It's utter panic. The superintendent of schools released a statement, quote, the individual involved was taken into police custody and is facing multiple charges. While this was an isolated incident involving out-of-district parties, WVISD takes any threat to our campus environment seriously. The statement read, Hamlin's bad behavior prompted the school to take steps to prevent adult aggression, including beefing up security at future athletic events. The district will continue to work closely with law enforcement to ensure our safety protocols remain robust. As a standard precaution, our community may notice an increased staff and security presence at upcoming events to ensure the continued comfort and safety of our attendees. And this is why everybody shouldn't have access to weapons. Okay. All right. Jackson, thoughts here?
Yeah, it's like, my son's not getting enough playing time. I know, just kill the coach and get another one. When in doubt, take him out. That's the logic behind this. But as you pointed out, this is exactly why any and every old body shouldn't be allowed to carry weapons, because a lot of people are emotionally unstable. And clearly this man doesn't have the ability to think a couple of steps ahead, if not one step ahead. Not just the coach's life was in danger. He put all the kids' lives in danger. He put the parents' lives in danger. And everyone knows it was him. So in no way was this a good decision. And this is going to follow him for the rest of his life. His son has to deal with this. How's that going to impact, his friendships with people? And how old were these kids? He still has so much time to improve his game and whatever it is. And there's so many other options for people to do. I used to play ball. I found other stuff to do. Eventually, you're going to be too old to do it. So it's just not that big of a deal. But, we really, really need gun reform for stuff like this.
Yeah. And to the dad, is a young dad. He's 25. In the future, if you really want your son to have more playing time, take some time away from your recreational activities. Take some time away from your job if you got PTO. And you take your son to a basketball court. And you play basketball with your son. And help your son get his game up. And if your son doesn't play for the school, put him in a recreation center. So many different ways you could have handled this, young brother. All right, we got more on the other side. Indisputable, stick and stay.
The most popular online news show.
Favorite news platform by far. Oh, it's not even close.
Been on YouTube for 20 years. The Young Turks.
The Young Turks. TYT probably needs no introduction.
A true lefty, Cenk Uygur.
Cenk Uygur.
Cenk, it's so great to talk to you.
Great to talk to you, David.
Fan of your work for a long time, man.
Anna Kasparian is one of the most followed and influential progressive women online.
I love Anna.
Your presence has been essential for me to really grow.
Do all of you know the Young Turks? This is why what Young Turks are doing is so important.
I've watched you for many years. You are insightful. I thank you for that.
I was going to introduce myself, but it sounds like you guys might know it.
Ring the bell on YouTube today. You know what it does? It actually rings the bell at my house. It's super annoying, but if you do it, it just keeps on ringing. Oh, plus you can find out when the show is live and whenever we have new clips. Ring the bell. Oh no, not again.
How would I look walking the dog on the White House lawn? Would that be?
You know how much it costs you to start an account on tyt.com? Nothing. It's free. So you just go and register in about 2.5 seconds. Then you can chat with us during the show. We read those comments the most often. You chat with each other. Tons of people have become friends there. We're super interactive. We do a lot of polls for our paying members. We sometimes do polls that drive the direction of the show. So that's amazing. There's no other show that's this interactive. And our home base for that is tyt.com. Come join us right now.
When you were growing up, what did you want to be?
I think I was starting to think I don't want to do one thing, and I did live up to that.
Well, mission accomplished then, because Dave was a geologist, and now he's helped found the Young Turks. Even within TYT, you've done a lot of different things.
Yeah.
So if you want to do different things, you nailed it. All right, last story to end on is a Dave story. Whenever there was something like obvious, glaring, he would go up and ask them about it. Like it'd be like a giant church, right? And somebody's standing in front of it. The usual Dave go, pull up right in front of them. Be like, hey, do you know where there's a church around here? And they're like, right here. It's right here.
Practical jokes. Spice up life a little.
We've been around for about 20 years and we have about 20 billion views. Am I proud of that? Hell yeah, I am. We put out 20 billion messages in a bottle. Have we helped to move now 2 generations, millennials and Gen Z, to become progressive? Yes, those numbers are real. We moved generations. Were we the only ones? Of course not. But we have been the largest online news show for now decades.
Cool news, shoptyt.com now has books. There's a whole bunch of books there. You're gonna be shocked to find out that they're largely progressive. Of course! Ryan Grimm's book, We've Got People, is there. It's fantastic. It's a story from Jesse Jackson to Bernie Sanders to AOC that explains the progressive movement probably better than any book I've ever read. Speaking of awesome books, my dad's got a book out called The Original Young Turk, where he goes from the poorest olive farmer you ever met in your life to living there.
All right, welcome back. Good to be with you. Let me read some of these amazing comments. Thank you everyone for joining. Ellis Bella says, pulling a gun on someone because your child is riding pine is beyond crazy. The man looks like a child himself. Winter Scoop, that jumping the dad with the gun did is done by people who have not been trained on proper use of a gun. It's the action of someone who is happy for suddenly being in power. Wow, you have a good point. The Midwest Dragon, thank you for that. The best way to respond to a racist tweet is to stay silent. Obama won this round. Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. Yeah. Kimmy _cool says, damn, she got clocked. And Bubba Franks, the Sword Dragon, she kept asking, why is he hitting me as she was hitting him? Yeah. So it's a trained response for some. To put blame on the other human being. And Mike, nice to you. Keep your hands to yourself, Karen. That's right. Great lesson learned. Tone Loke, 3000. Waving a gun around doesn't get your son more court time. That's correct. The DB Hawk 3 says the entitled dad should be banned from all sporting events. I hope he is. He could never come to a school game again, ever. And yep, Neon Death 07 says, I learned to keep my hands to myself in preschool. Yeah. There you go. All right. We're documenting extreme neglect and abuse inside of a youth prison in New York. Put it up, Jordan, full mass. This is so sad. A years-long staffing crisis at a youth prison in New York has led to human rights violations. We're talking about children. Human rights violations, as whistleblowers claim. Children are reported to have been locked in solitary confinement for up to 24 hours, not because of discipline, not because of some punishment, which would already be extreme for a child. It is because they don't have staff. They don't have staff, so they put them in solitary confinement, something that has made adult men and adult women completely lose their mind inside of prison systems all across this country. So that is their remedy. Put the picture back up again. Look at that. Industry Residential Center employee provided it. Industry Residential Center contains 2 of New York's 11 state-run youth prisons. Office of Children and Family Services facilities hold nearly 600 adolescents, ages 12 to 21, who are convicted of crimes in family or youth criminal court. Nearly 2/3 of the residents are Black. Boys incarcerated have been locked in cells, sometimes for upwards of 23 hours a day, for days or weeks on end, according to a lawsuit filed last month against the state agency that runs the facility. Most of the cells lack bathrooms, leaving the youth to urinate into bottles when they cannot hold it. And some lack air conditioning. Staff said kids in one building spend summer days sleeping on the floor without clothes. It's the only way to keep their bodies cool. Put up the picture again. The richest nation on the planet. State regulations. Under state regulations, boys incarcerated at a 130 bed complex are supposed to spend their days in class, participate in vocational programs, and socialize with peers in their housing unit. This is per state regulation, which means a violation of this state regulation is a violation of administrative law. That's what that means. I don't understand a state that would have these conditions. We have our own issues in Georgia. I work with the Department of Juvenile Justice for the state here through their education department. And I remember when I was a youth, I was in that same juvenile detention system. And we had our issues. But nothing like this. Nothing like this. The issues dealt with staffing who decided not to care about youth more so than the conditions of simple things like having a toilet. We always had a toilet. We had a place to shower. We had food. We had breakfast. Wasn't a great one, but we had it. But we had staff. People didn't go in solitary confinement because Nobody was available to supervise. The treatment of the youth in these prisons leads to severe understaffing. So the workers described, according to the workers, they described a grave staffing shortage in the state's youth prisons that has hindered operations since at least 2022. The documents they shared show widespread understaffing with industries to facilities among the hardest hit, especially when it comes to low-level staffers responsible for supervising incarcerated youth. I have a novel idea. Stop locking up so many of them. In Georgia, they were coming to this same crisis point. Lawmakers, under a Democratic governor, lawmakers got together and changed some of the rules. For example, you don't go to juvenile just because your parents want you to go to juvenile. That used to be a thing in Georgia. Another rule, if you are incarcerated, it has to be for a specific felony that is a felony, typically one where the public would be in danger. So only the most dangerous felonies were even considered for incarceration. These were rules that had to change in the state of Georgia because Georgia was facing a similar crisis. There's more. One Rochester area facility has been operating with 1/10 of its staff required for the job. When there aren't enough support staff, according to them, those on duty are left with a few options other than locking kids in cells. Meanwhile, staff rush from one area to another to address emergencies. Workers have been injured confronting frustrated detainees. Some staff have been forced to work shifts that last 24 hours or longer, then report back the next Friday. And I want to make sure I'm very clear, or the next day. I want to make sure I'm clear. This is not about the people who are working at the facilities. They are obviously overworked. They are stretched thin. This is about a policy that has to be fixed in order for the youth to benefit properly. If you can't supervise them, guess what else you won't do? You won't educate them. They don't get to go to high school. They should be in a high school class. They don't get to learn a skill. They're not engaged in meaningful recreation, social learning for development. None of that is happening. Quote, why are we here? We are part of the problem, a staffer said, breaking into tears. Quote, I'm a human rights violator, said another. You're not. You're not a human rights violator. The politicians that created the policies are. You're there as an ambassador doing the absolute best you can. And the fact that you will break down in tears during an interview, the fact that you will call yourself that says how noble you actually are. Because your calculation is based on the treatment of the child. Your calculation is based on something noble. Experienced workers who have a good rapport with the youth sometimes let them out of their rooms when they're out of ratio, risking getting written up by their own managers. So kids can at least socialize or at least use the phone. Quote, I would rather take the risk of getting paperwork, that means getting written up, than leaving kids in a room 24 or 48 or 72 hours, said a youth support coordinator at industry. Other times, understaffing leads to extended lock-ins, during which the kids are secluded with no way to call home or to interact with staff or interact with peers. Quote, it's essentially solitary confinement, the worker said. There's often no school during lock-ins, though education staff will sometimes give kids worksheets in lieu of classroom time. Staff said, they're depriving these kids of an education. Another worker said of OCFS. OCFS, they responded. Now remember, we're dealing with bureaucracy. we're dealing with politics, we're dealing with policy, and we got a report directly from the feet on the ground. The people who are the workers on behalf of us, the community, the taxpayer, the people, okay? They've told you what it is. The people who aren't there, the people who do not directly service the children, the individuals who are not in those facilities, they got a statement to make. Excuse me. In a response, detailed statement. OCFS denies these reports. In response to a detailed list of questions, the State Office of Children and Family Services, which runs the youth prison, said in a statement that it has, quote, clear protocols that are designed to ensure the safety of youth and staff while incorporating trauma-informed and mental health responsive practices, end quote. They're at the State Office. Yeah. Last month's lawsuit, filed by the Legal Aid Society and the firm Jenner and Block, argued that dysfunction in the facilities is harming the young people in custody. A 16-year-old at industry's highest security facility was locked in his cell between 22 and 24 hours a day for a month last spring. Then for another month, starting in August, the lawsuit alleged. The isolation caused him to deteriorate mentally. He's suppressed. He acts out to mitigate the loneliness, according to the suit. A state comptroller reported a report found that documented incidents of self-harm that included, quote, an expression or gesture of suicide on OCFS secure facilities rose 667% between 2019 and the end of 2022. There's real cause and effect. There's real cause and effect. All right, Jackson, thoughts here.
You know, stuff like this just makes more criminals. It just makes more traumatized and broken people who are likely to be repeat offenders. I mean, that's an issue with the adult prison system.
Yep.
You know, when you're talking about juvenile facilities, you know, these kids haven't even had the opportunity for their brains to fully develop. And what they really need is just a change of direction. You know, a lot of the time you see kids in these situations, it's just because they're misled. You know, they may be very angry, depressed because of their life circumstances, and they don't have proper guidance to go along to help and put them on a better path. And that's what juvenile detention centers should be about, if anything else. You know, at least with the adults, you know, we have all types of issues with our prison industrial complex and who we lock up and how long we lock them up for and what communities we target. But at the end of the day, at least we're talking about adults mostly who had their opportunity. These are children at the end of the day. I mean, I'm 34 and I realized that in my 20s, I was still a kid. These are children. And it's just completely unacceptable. And at the end of the day, it's a burden on the taxpayer because we're going to have more people in prison because of stuff like this. So it's just inefficient through and through.
Yeah. And the great loss of a young person because you did not properly intervene when there was an opportunity to intervene. All of these young people that we're talking about, some would moralize against them because they're incarcerated due to an alleged crime. I want to remind everyone that I too was accused of a crime. And I was in foster care. I had nobody who really cared outside of that context. I was 17 years old, state of Georgia. And at 17 years old, I'm in the back of this police car thinking I'm headed to juvenile detention. But see, the state had passed a law that made every 17-year-old in Georgia an adult. That law was not known among us at that time. It just happened. So I had to go to real jail. And because the district attorney named J. Tom Morgan, the DA of that time in DeKalb County, a white male Democrat, did not like the new state law. And so he made a policy in his office. He said, every 17-year-old kid that comes through this office would get the opportunity of a First Offender Act. He was powerless to change the law, but he could enact a policy. I benefited from that. It required that I either go back to school or get a job. It required that I finish volunteer time. It required that I have a mentor. And today, I'm a felony-free Black man because of an intervention that took place when I was 17, still a juvenile. So when you protect children in their most immature action, you never know what that protection will leverage, not only for that person's future, but I get to be a father to my daughter, who's a junior in college today. I get to give back to my community. I get to work and pay taxes. It becomes the best outcome, not only for the individual, but also for the community. So that's why these stories should be important to everybody. All right, we got more on the other side. Indisputable, stick and stay.
What contributions to the progressive cause are you most proud of? I mean, I don't have super high aspirations for a singular role that I can play in the movement or anything. I try to present myself as what I think that I am, which is a progressive man who is driven by a, I think, well-interrogated and well-organized system of values that I try to stay consistent on, and I demonstrate that that's the sort of life that a person can lead and be successful and be happy and all of that. And that should not need to be done, but there are so many people on the right that are trying to push men in the opposite direction that I want to be able to do that. Along the way, if I can get people to care about some topics that they wouldn't necessarily care about, or that for some men they might think that's not a topic that they should be focused on, that's definitely something that I relish doing. And along the way, I mean, we've been able to introduce people to a lot of candidates. That's been a big part of what we've done. You know, not all of them necessarily got in office. Probably most of them did not. And a lot of them, you might not even remember their names. But it was great to be able to provide people the platform where they had the chance of, you know, making a difference. Obviously AOC and all that, but there's been a lot of great people along the way.
In the bonus episode for the members, we do some inside baseball. We're gonna look at John's desk. Nice little spaceship here. Nerd, but it is kind of look cool. Who has Legos? Oh no. He's taken apart a keyboard. Who has a mouse pad that's this big? He's got a dog with a nose that you can hang something on. You know what this desk screams to me? Nerd. And that's how we like him. We love Johnny Pie. He's got his own personality like everybody does at TYT. Come meet us all in the bonus episodes. TYT.com/team.
David Sorrell, Nina Turner. Is Adam Green drop by?
Charlemagne.
Congressman, great to have you. It's great to be with you, Chang.
Your show is a great thing. You're informing people. A lot of the shows that I live on, you know, my CNN, my MSNBC, and even Fox, and any of the other shows, NPR, they are so quick to decide that they know what this building means today.
The one thing that I hate that politicians do, you know, they talk about the people they should be talking to.
Do they have any idea that they're the establishment and that they're hated? Or do they not realize that at all?
People are so deeply in their little universe. I think it's very easy to not really question what you're doing.
Voters have a right to ask questions of any nominee, whether they're independent, Republican, or Democrat.
The system is duopoly that suppresses competition.
How is it the year 2024 and we're still like, maybe they'll talk about paid medical? Like how is that like at one level it's like, good, what we're talking about it now. You're like, it's 2024.
And that's always been the critique, your critique of us is, well, you guys give good speeches, you put out good tweets, but you're not wielding actual power. Now we're starting to.
My favorite news platform by far. It's not even close.
It's about a country and a principle, and that's what you and I both worked to achieve. And I'm so glad that at least half the battle has now been won.
If you want to go really hear what's going on honestly, you should tune into the Young Turks.
Thanks for doing such a great job. Please keep it up. Hang tough.
Yeah.
That makes me so happy.
Oh, I like making that.
I didn't know about
This
that.
is a happy Anna Kasparian.
Awesome.
You're welcome, YouTube.
Join the Dragon Squad by becoming a YouTube channel member. Click the join button below or sign up on tyt.com/join to get access to fun emojis, a member-only chat, exclusive shop TYT designs, ad-free watching, and so many other amazing perks. Plus, you get bragging rights for being part of the coolest community on the internet and help us drive real positive change in the world. The Dragon Squad awaits, so join today.
All right, welcome back. Always good to be with you. Got a lot of comments to read. The Midwest Dragon, thank you for that. Says, if I didn't set it before, happy birthday, Jackson White, my Aquarius brother. It's our season. Happy birthday, dear brother.
Appreciate you. Yeah, my birthday was on the 31st.
Good stuff. And Black Jack says, you mean to tell me all those pro-lifers aren't doing nothing for these children? Scorpius_Corey says, discussing. As a person that worked as a liaison officer for correctional services, they were upgrading all prisons because it was found that some places were like this back in 2008. Yeah. Robert, that's right. Robert-03PK says by design. That's right. These things are done by design. Sinach Burgess, how the least of us are treated says a lot about a country. Damn shame. Kimmy_Cool says they're treating these kids like animals. They are. They are. Neon Death 07, that youth facility sent my brother across the street to the state hospital mental health because of self-harm concern for 72 hours. Wow. Wow. So sorry to hear that. Illicake says, and you kept going back to school. That's a win, Doc. I did. Come to find out I enjoy school. Just need an opportunity to actually go to a school, have a decent meal, have a place to sleep, and a place to wake up outside of fear. And if you create that environment for a young person, they can become unlimited. All right. This is a story we brought you. We're bringing you an update. So a black farmer or black farmers are turned away from the White House farmers meeting due to DEI. That's not the way it's supposed to work. But here it is.
But you know, when I tried to attend the president's farm meeting that he had several weeks ago at the White House, there wasn't one black farmer at the table. As a matter of fact, there wasn't one black person in the room. And they told me I couldn't attend the White House meeting, something about they were moving away from DEI. I'm talking to you from my farm. There's no DEI on my farm. You know, my cattle eat the same amount of hay. My tractor burns the same amount of diesel fuel, and I have to be able to produce a crop here just like everybody else.
I'm sorry, what? There was a farm meeting at the White House. You tried to go. Were you there physically? Did they turn you away at the door? Or
well, the farm community is a very small community. So people were telling me that there was going to be a farm meeting. And I reached out to the White House to attend, and that's the feedback that they got. In fact, they said they were moving away from the black farmer issue. They were moving away from DEI and the small farmer issue, and they were focusing on large-scale white farmers and corporate farmers because they produce the most food, is what this administration said.
They are moving away from the black farmer issue. Let me tell you first about the black farmer issue. is rooted in racism. So, of course, they don't want you to know that. My dad was a black farmer. And my dad explained the story to me when he received, roughly in the early 2000s, he received a settlement check. Dr. Joseph Lowry was involved in their advocacy. It was because the federal government years ago actively discriminated against providing loans and subsidies to black farmers in favor of white farmers, drying up the black farmer industry by design. That is the black farmer issue. Permeations of that have continued since. All right, let's put them up. Hell of a thing that this is still happening to black landowners, black farmers. John Boyd, president and founder of the National Black Farmers Association, also said the Trump White House is not inviting black farmers to roundtable farm aid discussions back in December. The Trump administration had announced that American farmers will receive $12 billion in relief aid as they struggle to keep their farms afloat because of Trump's policies, by the way, amid rising costs and a decline in markets. While farmers welcome the economic relief, black farmers, none of whom were invited to the White House's Monday roundtable, are likely to see little of the benefits, maybe none, due to cultural and historical barriers. As a reminder, Boyd, who represents 150,000 black farmers nationwide, explained that due to institutional barriers and cultural mistrust, black farmers have of the federal government as a result of decades of racial discrimination, most black farmers do not report their acreage to the USDA, which is part of the requirement to receive the latest $12 billion in relief. It is not required by law that they report to the USDA. It's not required, okay? But in order to get access to the $12 billion, all of a sudden, the one thing that black farmers typically do not do is the one thing that is required in order to get the $12 billion. You understand the setup, okay? All right. During a recent national conference with thousands of black farmers, Boyd said members were instructed to get a farm serial number and report their acreage to the USDA, which was met with pushback. Quote, they were saying, I don't want the government to know all my business, how much I'm planning, what I'm planning, and when I'm planning, and they don't want to help me, Boyd recalled. Quote, I see and feel that argument. I do because I've been there. But also, when there's a pot of money like this, if you're not in that system, if you're not set up, you can't get the money. The longtime civil rights activist told the Griot, quote, they do that on purpose, end quote. Adding, quote, in my professional experience, they do it because they know that that's a way around black farmers participating. He also says if the farmer can prove that they're farming and prove how much they get, they should get some too. He argued the USDA did not immediately respond to the Griot's request for a comment on the concerns raised by Boyd and black farmers. Now, many times when there's a rule like this for funding to an industry, especially the number one industry in the world. What's the number one industry in the world? Agriculture. Agriculture is the number one industry on the planet Earth. So usually when you have something this big and you have this barrier, the government provides what's called a cure. You have a cure. What's your cure? Well, the purpose is to document how many acres you have, that you actually do have the capacity to do this. So if you are not officially registered with a certified acreage registry, then this is your cure. Because all we want is for the government or us to know how much farmland in relationship to grant funding. There are many ways, according to Mr. Boyd, that can be proven without the black farmer having to register officially with the federal government. Okay. The $12 billion one-time payment is intended to provide farmers with a much-needed economic boost as the markets endure the effects of Donald Trump's global tariffs and foreign trade. The U.S. Department of Agriculture said the federal funds to bridge payments for American farmers impacted by unfair market disruptions would be received by the end of this month. Reflecting on the multi-pronged crisis facing black farmers specifically, Boyd told the Griot, quote, "We shouldn't be losing our farms because of something that this president created through his Trump tariff fiasco." He added, "We shouldn't be losing our farms for low crop prices and markets closing up. All of this stuff happened because of the tariffs that this president put in place." It's so sad. It's extreme. It's diabolical, mean-spirited, inhumane, adverse to what the policy is supposed to do. When they say, well, this is for Americans, and then they eliminate black people from the conversation, they're telling you who they believe Americans actually are. Ironically, this is the same thing Dr. King preached about multiple times in multiple venues when he said how the government gave land grants to whites who did not have to pay for them, did not have to earn them, gave it to them through an act, creating immediate generational wealth. Nothing like that ever came to black families, ever. And this is happening again under the auspices of farmland. And black people, once again, are left out of that conversation too. All right, Jackson, thoughts here.
Yeah, as you pointed out, the reality is that every single time in this country that white Americans have really progressed economically or gotten a big boost, it's because the government helped them get there. If you don't have the levers of industry, then you don't really have much of an ability to just pick yourself up by your bootstraps collectively as an ethnicity. Like, everyone isn't that smart. You know what I mean? Like, you can't give people that much credit because possibility and access is a real thing. And that's why minority groups still to this day, even though we're outnumbered, have nowhere near the amount of wealth as white America does. I'm not saying that there aren't any poor white people, but just when you compare the statistics, this is why. And also I want to point out the irony of, the Trump administration's stance against DEI when they literally more than once have created programs to where Are you white and do you feel like you've been, discriminated against at work? If so, then, call this number and we can get you taken care of. So DEI is cool for white people, but that's also just kind of them trolling the Democrats and trolling minorities in this country like, But lastly, this is just inefficient for the future of this country. Right now, the agriculture in the United States has taken major blows that didn't start in this administration. It's, you can go back to Trump's first administration with the tariffs on China and how much of a dip or hold on the market for soybeans because of Donald Trump's tariffs.
Yep.
So you're already destroying our agricultural markets. You're already ruining our place in the world. And doing this to black farmers is only making it worse. So these types of policies, they may be really enthusiastic about it, but they're ideological. And when you get to the nuts and bolts, it just doesn't work. Taking women out of the economy, taking black people out of the economy, you're going to have less money, you're going to have less productivity. And we got to keep moving the ball forward.
Yeah, and competition breeds a product that allows for choice, for market competition, okay? And when he eliminates that by way of these extreme tariffs and then eliminates the farmer's ability or opportunity to engage significantly with domestic product, the cost is felt by every single one of us. This is real interesting. I want to get your opinion on this, Jax. anti-DEI. Okay. So the administration has told this black farmer, I don't know why just a black man being a farmer coming to a meeting, somehow he's not able to come to a meeting because they're anti-DEI. Sounds like you're anti-black man. That's what it sounds like to me. You're anti-black, not anti-DEI. Because if you were truly anti-DEI, you would not punish a college president or a university's financial well-being because they decided to allow a peaceful protest of the Israeli government. If you are anti-DEI, because last time I checked, Israel is not America.
100%. 100%. Whether, I mean, you could look at that. You could look at just like, the effort, like for instance, like the reversal of Roe v. Wade,
right?
The desire to take away the rights for gay marriage, things like that prop up white America, which is DEI. Every attempt to shove everybody else down is inherently diversity, equity, inclusion for the majority. So yeah, it's just a bunch of BS wrapped in rhetoric that we've been hearing for years now. But yeah, no, I agree with you 100%.
Yeah. And they're not even doing the token thing anymore, but they would at least find a token black person to be in the room, like a Tim Scott.
Right,
they would at least find a Tim Scott-like person to be at the boardroom. They're not even doing the token thing anymore. Even Tim Scott has to communicate with the administration via Twitter, because he's probably not getting his phone calls answered anymore.
Oh no. And him and nobody else black got a position in the administration, right, except the housing and urban development. We put a black man in there, but everything else, no, thank you.
Yeah. Jackson, always fascinated to have you on the program, brother. Tell people how they can follow you, check out your great work.
Oh, yeah, always good to be here. Y'all can check me out at Politics and Paper on YouTube. I've been uploading daily with political videos, and I'm now producing documentaries about a variety of interesting topics. I put one out about a month ago that's done really well, going over our infrastructure issues in the country. So check me out at Politics and Paper on YouTube.
Brother, thank you for all you do. We appreciate your leadership. All right. Remember, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, take care of the planet. Remember, the truth is always indisputable.